You're listening to the Brian Crabtree Show on demand. Catch Brian live and local. Weekdays starting at 4 on Biz 1190. Replay at 9 p.m. on AM 920 The Answer. Details at biz1190.com.
You know, I got to tell you, some things, just the timing of things just amaze me sometimes. Nothing but divinity makes these things happen. By the way, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Brian Crabtree Show. It's great to have you here. At Brian Crabtree on Twitter. Wells Fargo, it's been announced today, has been fined $185 million for improper account openings. Now, this has a special meaning to me because I fired their AWS today. I've been with them for years. Do most of all of my retail and personal banking with them. And I fired them. And I told the lady I fired, I don't normally do this in an email. I don't normally curse in an email ever. More so lately than though in the past, especially with financial institutions. But I told her, please, you've been nice, but very incapable of helping me because of the SH word bank you work for. Please tell your manager, who has spent the last 4 weeks making my life hell, to kiss my, and then, fill in the blank. I'm not proud of that, but I own it because I have been treated like garbage by these people. And I know a lot of people who have, and I've never had it. I've had problems with them before. I've never been treated like a drug dealer trying to launder money. That's how I felt. And in the same day that this push comes to shove, they get fined, and it's announced $185 million. This is from New York, the story. California and federal regulators. Because Wells is based in California, so that's the nature of the California part. They're big here, too. They were fined a combined $185 million today. The allegation, which I guarantee is true, the bank's employees illegally opened millions of unauthorized accounts for their customers in order to meet aggressive sales goals.
God, that's awful.
$100 million to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, $35 to the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, and $50 million to the City and County of Los Angeles. Let me stop there. I don't want to. There's more to the story, but let me tell you my story. So I walk in my neighborhood branch. It's the one at Buckhead Loop, right across from Tower Place. Bunch of incompetent people that work in there. It's also a revolving door, so the incompetent people I dealt with 2 weeks ago might not be there anymore. They might be at another job somewhere else, so there might be a new crop of incompetent people in there now. That's one of their problems with a lot of these big institutions that we've bailed out. By the way, Obama, we've bailed them out, and now look what we've got. Everywhere we turn in finance, we are beaten over the head. I'm telling you, I felt like I was being treated like a foreign illegal drug lord money launderer. So I go into the branch, and I say, we need to open an account for a new LLC that I have a partner in another state. I'm going to make this a short story to get to the meat and potatoes of it. And, yes, this false nicehood be nice stuff they do. And then we're told what you need to do is we'll get the account open. Then you're going to have to call the online toll-free number, and they're going to then help you get your partner in the business that you're opening, a little property renovation thing for a few properties a year. And you're going to have to go and get the toll-free people to help him get it on the signature card because he's got to be able to make deposits and pay contractors if the deals aren't in our state here in Georgia. So I call the toll-free number. I don't know why they told you that because we never do that. It's two completely different things. So we go back to the branch. I had to get my wife, go back in there, get our appointments together, get the other partner to go to a branch in South Carolina where he's based. And we're all sitting there at the same time. Oh, no, we can't do it at the same time because we're actually two different banks. Yeah, the same name on the door. Well, it's two different charters. Okay, I don't explain all that on the radio. It's too wonky and too technical. So, at this point, and they all agree at this point, no, you got to call the toll-free number. Here's the number to call. So I get on the phone with them, and this has been going on for a few days now. And it's becoming apparent to me that this woman in the Buckhead Loop branch has done to us, exactly what Wells Fargo today has been fined $185 million for. Told me what I wanted to hear in the branch to get me to sign up an account to meet her quota, to get her little pittance of a bonus they give her. And they put me and my partner and my wife through hell just to open up a small business account and deposit, I don't know, $20,000 into it. We began this, it could have been the last week of July. It was certainly the first week of August. So then I called the toll-free number and started over. I filled out the paperwork. I ended up dealing with three different people. And each one of those three different people had me redo the paperwork at Wells Fargo because it didn't meet their standards. Well, you're not supposed to sign it here. You're supposed to sign it there. Well, the last person told me to sign it over here. Right. It just goes on and on and on, back and forth. They had to have a committee meeting. I am not joking, folks. They had to have a committee meeting in order to approve the account. Now, by the time I've gone through a week of this, normally I would have just, if I was buying a car, I'd have gone, I ain't buying a car here. There's 100 other dealers. See you later. Goodbye. Gone on a different lot and started over. But the problem here is that you're dealing with bill pay and the electronic banking, and you got all your stuff set up and it's automated, and it's a daunting task to have to start over, right? When you're just screwed over by these people. And finally today, I mean, I had told my wife 4 or 5 days ago who had to take this over because I was becoming just belligerent. I was so just, and let me take an aside here for a moment. This is, I talked to a couple people today in passing about this and their own experiences in finance, and I find out that other small business people who are doing more business and less business than I am are dealing with this almost on a daily basis at some point of their life. And you're going into these institutions, which we have bailed out. We bailed out Wells Fargo. We bailed out Wachovia and gave it to Wells. We bailed out Goldman Sachs, and now they're telling their employees you can't donate money to Trump. That just happened. We learned about that yesterday. Goldman Sachs is one of the sleaziest banks in the nation. We bailed out Chase. We bailed out Countrywide. We bailed out Bank of America. Though, if you want to have a bank that's in more than one state where you can do banking, that's who you're stuck with, because we gave all of the banks and consolidated them into 4 or 5 banks, Wells Fargo being one of the big 4 evils. And for years, I've been saying of the big bad 4 banks, Wells is the least bad of the 4. They're right up there with them. Because you have people all across this country who've had accounts opened in their names, who've had paperwork done incorrectly, such that now they have more red tape, more problems, but they've been doing it illegally to meet sales quotas. You, me, the American people, to a lot of big businesses in this country, have become nothing more than another notch in a salesperson's bed.
5,300 employees, 1% of their workforce fired.
At Wells? Mm-hmm. 2 million bank credit cards. Let me tell you what happened after I told them to KMA today. After I fired them. 15 minutes later, here's the deal. Let me tell you this part of it. So yesterday, my wife finally says, my husband he's already telling me you're fired and he's not coming. Just get the account open so I don't have to change my accounts, right? So they go, we've got it done. It's all done. Tomorrow morning we'll call you. We're going to get it all open. So it's all finished. We're good to go. Perfect, right? They call up 9:30. I happen to answer the phone because I mistake it for my iPhone. And it's this bank person, so she puts it on speaker, and I'm sitting here listening. She goes, "We can't use your business address." I'm like, "What? You can't use my business address?" Well, yeah, it's a Regis Center. It's a virtual office. We can't use that. We need another address for your business. I said, "That's my business address. I have an office there." I'm talking back, and I'm like, "You must be crazy, woman." And we can't use your business address because it's a virtual office. I said, we can we'll have to close the account in 30 days if we don't have a different address. So I got to move my office to open a banking account at Wells Fargo. Kiss my rear end, right? So I just lose it again, and that's when I fired him, right? So then an email. Well, actually, I lost it in the background. I left my wife with the phone. I'm like, I'm done with this. You want to keep messing with this crap and these crazy people at Wells Fargo? You go ahead. So then I kept 5 minutes later. She's still talking to the woman, arguing back and forth about the address. I walked in. I said, "Give me the phone." I didn't say it out loud. I said, "Click," and I just hung up on her. I didn't say a word because I was tired of yelling at people. So we get an email reiterating the same and da-da-da-da-da. And I responded to that email and fired him and told her, "Tell your manager who's made my life hell for 4 weeks, KMA. And I'm done. Just leave everything alone. Don't touch it." 20 minutes later, I assume out of spite, they changed the address on my accounts. Credit cards, accounts, everything I've got with Wells Fargo, I get a notification. All of my stuff is going to be sent to the wrong address.
Ugh.
And I had to go in and deal with that for another 20 or 30 minutes. So I am so happy today. I am very proud of California and the federal regulators, whom I beat up a lot, for finding these scumbags at Wells Fargo, Bank of America too. They've had their days. If you are a consumer, and I may get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway because people sometimes accuse me of being for the big rich people. I'm not. I'm for smart business in America, honest and integrity. If you are thinking about doing business in the mortgage realm and getting a mortgage, refinancing your mortgage, opening a checking account, wealth services, IRAs, any of that, and you are going to use Wells Fargo, what are you thinking? Because here's an institution that makes it incredibly difficult to do business with them. Out of the air of compliance and being proper and crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. And what they create is a roadmap for the employees and the people to cheat the system and cheat you. A Wells Fargo mortgage is horrific to deal with. I don't understand why people in this country continue to bank with banks like Wells Fargo and B of A, who we have bailed out. We have bailed them out. We have bailed parts of their banks out. And we have given them this great freedom, and they are taking advantage of our country. They are taking advantage of smaller and medium institutions that actually try to give service, and they're rendering it impossible to compete. Acting like business bullies. You had a situation, and I never got to this on the air. This is not banking, producer Joey, but where you had a rental car thing or something. You had fender bender.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you had the guy there who is, I guess, judged on apps or something, or on a service, and he asked your wife to fill out a survey, right?
Yeah, so I'll keep it brief. What happened was we had a rental because she got in a fender bender, and she went to an unnamed rental car place, and upon delivery of the vehicle back, he said, hey, and we'd really appreciate if you could fill out this brief survey, right? And she was like, well, I don't mind helping out. If it's good service, I'll give you due credit. So he said to her, he's like, oh, here, let me see your phone. It gets really complicated. And my wife is a very smart woman. She took offense to that because, oh, poor little old you, why don't you go cook me something, and then when you get back here, I'll have everything all set.
Right.
So he takes her phone, and he starts putting in all this information, starts typing about how he was great and how he...
Yeah, so he's filling out his own survey. Under the idea that, see, this is the problem with online reviews, the digital space that we're in, Facebook, Twitter. There's so much fakeness that we don't judge people based upon the actual quality. We just cheat the system. Most of what you read about people online isn't true. Most of the reviews are. I've said this in the real estate business. Give me. I have never done this that I remember. I don't think I have. But give me $100. I'll give you $100 to Amazon if you'll give me a 5-star review. So you got all these big time agents out here in the market that have all these little 6-month experienced people in the real estate business working for them. They got a team of 50 people. Mm-hmm. And they got 100 reviews that are 5-star. That's impossible.
Right.
It just doesn't happen. Real estate's too so there's going to be somebody. And what they've done is they've got a whole person on their staff that says, I'll give you $100 if you'll give me a review. And then they advertise their reviews in their ads sometimes. And so the fact is that the reviews that you're seeing and reading about people are not accurate. And we're being taken advantage of constantly by the digital space that we're in now. And people are being cultured to lie and cheat and not be truthful. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at business in America with 17 years experience in housing and 22 in media. Media is a little different. You just see it more in a 10,000 foot view. When you're in housing, for instance, either in investments and flipping, rentals, or brokerage, you're on the ground, right? You're in the trench. And what I'm seeing out there scares me. Not just for me, because I'm 39. I've still got another 20, 30 years to deal with. It scares the hell out of me for my kids. Because if we don't turn this thing around, I hate to quote Trump. I don't want to make this political. We're not going to have a country left. We're almost there now. All right, so I'll end it there. So congratulations. Wells Fargo fined. Kudos to California. Kudos to the regulators. $185 million. They deserve it.
Thanks for listening to the Brian Crabtree Show on demand. Don't forget to catch Brian live and local weekdays starting at 4 on Biz 1190. Details at biz1190.com.